Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, the Branchiopod Line. I know a lot of y'all have been begging for more content and have tons of questions about Branchiopods, and I've been ignoring y'all. I'm just kidding. I've just been a little burnt out, but I finally got time to make this video, so hopefully you enjoy it. It will be a little different. It is a question and answer to a post I sent out, which only 3 of you answered, which is fine because I have a lot of tangents to talk about. As I answer your questions, I actually have some chores that I will be doing, and that is this dirt that I've had sitting in my fridge for a while. It has a ton of fairy shrimp eggs that are actually hatching, and I need to sort them. And there's also plenty of eggs in here that I have not touched. So I guess I'll get started. All right, the first question is from Salvinia_986. And they are asking, what's been your biggest challenge so far in the hobby? This entire hobby is a challenge. So my biggest challenge in the hobby, and trust me, there is a lot of challenges. Number one is the amount of people that are interested in this hobby. And it's not a lot. And as soon as someone finds out that they live for like 3 months or not that long, they're not interested anymore. As soon as they find out that it cannot produce live offspring and you can't have like a tank continuously going, they're out. So getting more people interested in this hobby is really challenging. I think they admire the Branchiopods themselves, but wanting to join in the husbandry of them, not so much. On top of that, I feel like this hobby is dominated by tadpole shrimp, or the triops, and I have nothing against the triops. They're really cool, amazing Branchiopods, but they don't interest me like fairy shrimp do, and they're also not as diverse as fairy shrimp. So if you can't tell already, I'm obsessed with fairy shrimps. And the biggest challenge, especially with fairy shrimps, is how to culture them, because they're kind of found all throughout the world in different climates, and the habitats that they live in can vary widely in terms of like geology and water chemistry. When I first got into growing fairy shrimp, I just thought you just add water and food and that's all they need. And that is completely wrong. They need a lot more than that, especially depending on the species. So you have the genus Branchiopod, which are cold water fairy shrimp. And that is what I'm doing down here and sorting out these eggs. And for the longest time, I could not figure out how to hatch these fairy shrimp. And I had to do a lot of digging, a lot of reading of different research papers, and a lot of trial and error. So these are probably the most difficult fairy shrimps to hatch. As far as culturing, not too bad actually, but completely different. The eggs do not just hatch in the presence of water. They need a bunch of environmental triggers before you see any hatching. While you have other species, like some of the desert species, that rely on the water to trigger the hatching. And even then, some of these desert species, water isn't enough because you require certain salinities and even presence of certain kind of minerals which will induce hatching. I've only mastered a few, barely. I'm still working on plenty of different fairy shrimps and testing out different parameters to see what does best for that species. And that is a challenge, very time consuming, very money consuming. But I'm working on it, and so far it's been promising for a few species. Some of them, I don't know what they want, and they keep dying on me. But I've yet to dig through this dirt and look for fairy shrimp egg. I'm also sorry because I say I will culture clam shrimp, and I just haven't had the time because I'm obsessed with fairy shrimp. So someone out there needs to be obsessed with clam shrimps and figure them out, because I'm just gonna keep on lying now. But if you should take anything away from the biggest challenge, it's that we need more people in this hobby, and not the sea monkeys. This is different. And also understanding the water chemistry of every single species and what they need. So more people to do tests.
Research.
And you can do water or soil analysis tests, and that would be amazing. But that probably costs money. I don't have money. All right, to the next question, which is Cat the Clownster. Oh, what a lovely photo. They're asking, what species of Branchiopod has been your favorite to keep? Haha, just kidding. But no, it's pretty much fairy shrimp. I love fairy shrimp. Concerning. But she's talking about the species. So favorite fairy shrimp species, and I can't pick because there's so many. But my favorite genus in general is Branchiopod, because they are the most colorful. That sounds pretty. Oh my god.
Start the video.
My favorite genus is Branchiopod, which are the cold water fairy shrimps, and I probably mentioned them too many times already. I'm also working on them. But they are kind of like a challenge to culture. And on top of that, I think they're the most aesthetic fairy shrimp, since they're very colorful, and they're the only group of fairy shrimps that have a white tip tail, or the circopods, if you want to be scientific. And for the last question, which is from H.M. Rogers 97, and they're asking how old I was when my fascination of Branchiopods begun, and did I ever own sea monkeys as a child? I was always obsessed. Just kidding. So when did my fascination of Branchiopods begin? And it's honestly when I got sea monkeys, like every other little kid did. But I quickly grew out of that, and now I don't like sea monkeys. They're at the bottom of the barrel. But no hate if you like sea monkeys. But my true fascination of fairy shrimp started when I went to Enchanted Rock, which is this big dome in Central Texas made out of granite. On top of the domes are these depressions that can hold water. And that's the first time I've ever seen fairy shrimp in real life, I guess. But from there, I finally got obsessed, and I started looking for fairy shrimps all over the place. So the species that's up there is Branchiopod, which is the rockpool fairy shrimp. And turns out they're kind of found everywhere. So I did some searching, and surprisingly enough, on the side of the road in a ditch, I found them, and I collected them, and that kind of like started my whole fascination of fairy shrimp. And figuring out how to culture that species, they're over there by the way. It took a long time, a lot of sacrifices, but Anyways, so that species first started my entire obsession with Branchiopods, more specifically fairy shrimp. And I wanted to figure out how to culture that damn fairy shrimp so bad because I wanted a cute little aesthetic tank in my bedroom. And trial and error, lots of sacrificing, lots of eggs that didn't hatch. But after reading so many papers, watching so many videos, going as far as learning about limnology and understanding basically water chemistry, I figured out what the fairy shrimps needed. And now I have too many of them that I don't need. That is pretty much all the questions.
I'm going to end this video right here since I've noticed I've already talked way too much, but if you really enjoyed this kind of content, please say something in the comments or give this video a thumbs up. I'm still going to make more content that's been consistent with my previous videos, so don't worry if you didn't like this video. And again, thank you for all your support and all the new followers. I really appreciate it. And that really is it. So I'll see you in the next video.